Hi everyone, Aric Hall with The Blaze of Glory. I want to talk a little bit about my visit to Gardiner, Montana last year in the summer of 2017. There are many Forrest Fenn treasure hunting search solutions that will lead you to Gardiner, Montana and the Yellowstone River Valley. If you believe that Warm Waters Halt is the dormant geyser cone at Mammoth Springs, or where Boiling River empties into the Gardiner River, you would go down to Gardiner. There are many who believe that the home of Brown is the prospector Brown who lived in the Gardiner area over 100 years ago. Or, even if you came in from the eastern part of Yellowstone and Ranger Brown's cabin, if you followed that far enough downriver, you would end up in Gardiner. So I had several things in the Gardiner area that I wanted to search for myself. One of those was going up Bear Creek. Well, that sounds like no place for the meek. I was in a four-wheel drive vehicle, so I went up past the Jardine old mining village up to Knox Lake. Now, on Google Maps, it's listed as Castle Lake, but to the National Forest Service, it is Knox, K-N-O-X, Knox Lake. So this video, I'm going to show a few pictures about that visit. It was in these creek valleys out of Gardiner, Montana, where I had several of my epiphanal moments in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Going up into the Bear Creek Valley, you get into the pine forest and you quickly lose the sage. We're told from the New Mexico tourism commercial that we should see pine or pinyon and we should see sage. But the thing that I kept noticing repeatedly is as you go up into these mountain creek valleys, you lose the sage. As I began hiking up the Bear Creek Valley, I actually had no intention of going the 4 miles to Knox Lake. What I was looking for was if there were any easy access points to the creek itself, because I knew there were some white rock outcroppings along that creek valley. I wanted to know if there was a way someone could get in there with a treasure chest. It would be impossible to leave that trail to go through the brush, down the steep slopes, and to get to the actual creek, and that creek was very overgrown itself. For some reason, I was the only person who chose to hike that trail. I met an entire family on horseback and with a mule, went up there for a picnic lunch. But me, I went up there to hike, and I decided to finish the 4 miles because I wanted, at that point, to go all the way to Knox Lake. There actually is a point where, when you're high enough into the mountains, the trail does cross 1 or 2 branches of Bear Creek, and there are some other wet, muddy places that you're probably going to get your shoes muddy to get across on the way to Knox Lake. On approaching Knox Lake, I noticed on one end of the lake there was already someone there who had been fishing, apparently for most of the morning. When I got to the lake, I also caught up with that family that had passed me with the horse and mule. Those people were kind enough to offer to throw my body across that mule and take me up to Knox Lake. But hey, I had a little bit of pride. I decided to walk the rest of the way rather than ride a mule. Make no mistake about it, Knox Lake is a nice high mountain lake to visit. It's scenic, you're surrounded by a forest, there's mountain peaks around, and it's a nice place to get away from people, noise, and from cities. If you believe that the clue in the Forrest Fenn Treasure poem that says we're looking for water high. If you believe that that does refer to mountain lakes or any kind of water high in the mountains, then Knox Lake would qualify. However, according to the Forrest Fenn, New Mexico tourism commercial, we should see both pine and sage, and about a half-mile past the Jardine mining village, either to the northeast or the northwest, you quickly lose the sage plants. This was one of several times in my trip that I had an epiphany or an aha moment, whether it was in the Bear Creek, Eagle Creek, Tom Miner Creek, or several others. Not too far above the canyon down, when you head up into these mountain creeks, you lose the sage. And it would seem that beyond a certain point, these creeks no longer qualify as a possible treasure location. Before you leave, help me to develop a following by pressing that like, share, and subscribe buttons.